What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. We're going to be talking about a few different horror topics in this video here today. We're going to be talking about the Weapons prequel. We're going to be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. We're going to be talking about The Strangers Chapter 3. We're going to be talking about Welcome to Derry, Terrifier 4, and Scream 7. So starting off here with the Weapons prequel, Cregger recently explained to The Wrap that the upcoming Gladys prequel to Weapons ruining her mystique has crossed his mind. He said, "It's crossed my mind, but I think that the Gladys story is such an interesting story that I think is going to feel very separate and stand on its own 2 feet, and I don't think it's going to diminish Weapons." Here's my thing. I hope he is correct. My concern already going into the Gladys prequel isn't really about whether it'll be a good movie or not, but I do think that once I revisit Weapons, it is going to diminish the aura that exists around that character, and my curiosity is not going to be as piqued around that character because of the fact that we're now going to get some answers that don't really need to be given to us. You could argue, well, if you're curious, don't you want to know more? Not necessarily. My curiosity is generally where I want it to stay at for a reason, and that's the unknown. I don't want to know everything because the fact that I don't know is what's heightening this character's aura and the mystique. You're about to minimize that. I don't think that the Weapons prequel is going to be bad, but I do think that upon rewatching Weapons, the curiosity around Gladys is not going to be the same. My interest in Gladys is not going to be the same because all it takes is one certain writing decision and I'm going to look at the character very differently. It's not going to be as intimidating as it was right now. Doesn't matter if he doesn't think that. I feel as though the fact that we're going down this path, it's just a guarantee. We're not going to look at the character the same because we're about to get new information on her that we didn't already have. But hopefully, they work together as a great double feature. But there's no doubt in my mind that the experience of Weapons is going to be greatly different once we get a full-length film dedicated to Gladys. I don't think there's any way of escaping that. I understand where he's coming from, but I just don't agree. Now, let's talk about Nightmare on Elm Street. Chuck Russell, who I believe directed Dream Warriors, spoke with Dread Central about possibly returning to direct a new film and gave his thoughts on Jim Carrey playing Freddy Krueger in a Nightmare on Elm Street film. He said, yeah, that would be great. Jim, in my opinion, could almost do anything if he put his heart into it. He definitely could. He's a phenomenal actor. But he said for Jim to do it, we'd have to do something that was another leap in the Elm Street series, a little bit like what Wes did with his very meta New Nightmare. I think Jim would only consider it, and I'd only consider harnessing Jim if there was a bold new direction for Elm Street. Now, I don't think that Jim is above trying to tap into Robert Englund's style of Freddy Krueger. I think he could capture a very menacing Freddy Krueger if given the opportunity. But I also don't think that Jim is the person you want to cast right now. Jim Carrey, one of the best talents ever, he would crush it. He would give a wonderful performance. I saw so many people kind of scoffing at this idea when I shared this on Twitter. I don't know who you think this man is, but he is one of the GOATs. I'm sure many of you listening would agree. That man is one of the best. He's a phenomenal actor. But the problem right now is if you cast Jim Carrey, you know what that opens the door to? Oh, well, they could have gotten Kevin Bacon. They're similar ages. Stay away from these people that are in their 60s. Stay away from them. The ship has sailed. If Jim were to do it, and it's great, I'm still going to praise it, but I don't want to set up any type of, oh, well, just go get Kevin Bacon because you got Jim Carrey. They're around the same age. No, stay away from both of these men. Get somebody that was around Robert's age. Wasn't Robert in like his early to late 30s, maybe early 40s when he started playing in this role? You need to find somebody who's going to be able to stick around long term, probably won't have as many health concerns you have to worry about. All of that stuff is relevant when you're casting these people. As much as people want to beat around the bush about it, age is very relevant. It's very relevant. There's nothing that you can stop about people aging. We all age. We're all going to deal with things as we get older. And if you want somebody who's going to be a long-term guarantee, the chances of you having that with a younger person are just better than with an older person. Get somebody who's unknown, follow all the directions that Robert gave you, and make sure that they are younger, not in Jim Carrey's age bracket or Kevin Bacon's age bracket. So Lionsgate must have decided to throw in the towel with this Stranger trilogy because there is a teaser online from the end of Chapter 2 for Chapter 3, and let me just say, it did not impress. There's shots of Maya walking in a church. There's a voiceover the entire time of a conversation between her and Richard Brake's character. We see a shot of them in a cop car because I believe his character works in law enforcement in this trilogy. It looks like Maya potentially has been manipulated into joining the Strangers because of what she did at the end of Chapter 2. There's this eerie music playing throughout the entire thing, trying to build momentum and interest, and it just can't. The teaser failed to move me in any way, generate any type of excitement because of how bad Chapter 2 was. So I'm currently conditioned to expect that this finale is just going to be a nice turd on top of what is a shit sandwich. I guess this is what was shown at the end of Chapter 2 in theaters, because if you listen to my review, you'll probably recall I stated I did not sit around to find out what was at the end of that movie. I wanted to get out of there. It was that bad. I did not want to sit around to see what first look I would get at Chapter 3. So I guess this is what was shown, and it doesn't excite me. Lionsgate throwing in the towel seems evident to me because they aren't even taking down the accounts that are posting this. The official account itself hasn't even posted it. The social media pages for this trilogy, they're not even posting it. They're letting fan accounts do it. Just go ahead and drop this on streaming. I believe Prime recently closed the deal with Lionsgate for their catalog, and I wouldn't be surprised if Strangers 3 is part of their first pickings, because I think that kicks in 2026. So if that kicks in early 2026, which is in alignment when The Strangers 3 is supposed to drop, this film could be getting sent straight to Prime. Put this thing out of its misery like Old Yeller, because this trilogy has been an absolute mess, and I know many of you in the comment section are going to agree. We got a new update on Welcome to Derry from a report from Entertainment Weekly. We're not going to see Pennywise until later on in this series. It says, in truth, Skarsgård's Pennywise doesn't enter the action until deeper in the series. The Muschietis liken the eventual reveal to the shark in Jaws and wanting to build that anticipation. It's a shape-shifting creature in the movies. There's only so much space to see those non-Pennywise manifestations. This is what one of the producers said. Andy, however, promises if people are there watching to be terrified, they will be terrified from the get-go. Now, they're taking the less is more approach with the character, and I'm not even mad at it. The trailers at first kind of gave off that vibe that we weren't going to overexpose Pennywise anyway. Keep your audience interested in seeing Skarsgård. Make the appearances special. And as mentioned, this is a shapeshifter we're dealing with. Pennywise isn't its only form. It's just the most popular form. It's the form that's constantly marketed for money purposes. I'm going to be starting the show next Thursday, I believe. Yeah, next Thursday. If you saw my tweet, you know I got stuff recently. But I'll actually be watching week to week like everyone else. I'm just going to be seeing each one a few days early before they air on Sunday, I think is when these episodes will air. So what I'll do is I'll have my recaps and overall thoughts for the episodes posted pending on my channel. And they'll go live depending on when most people have access to the episodes. So if you don't want any spoilers because you're waiting for it to air live on the network, you've been warned already. Now, let's talk about Terrifier 4. Every loose end is going to come together in Terrifier 4, according to Damian Leone, who was on the Chris Jericho podcast recently, Talk is Jericho. He doubled down on the last 30 minutes, taking some bold swings and being experimental. He also said we get a lot of answers on art, and maybe it's to a fault even. Now, that last part is what concerns me. If you're saying that, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. Because the thing that, again, with Terrifier 4 that I am concerned about is that by the time I'm done with Terrifier 4, I'm going to have a completely different outlook on Art the Clown. Sometimes we don't need to go back behind these curtains. We don't need to know what's under the hood. Just let the aura remain intact. I'm really concerned about how they're going to tackle this backstory. I'm really concerned with the fact that it's probably going to be one of the weakest backstories we've gotten in recent memory for a horror villain. Someone who many would argue is now a horror icon. I don't want to see that. I'm going to trust Damian Leone that he knows what he's doing. It's his character, so I don't want him to ruin it. But if he's saying that, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. That's all I really have to say on that. Now, when it comes to the experimental stuff, I still think that's just going to chalk up to Art and Sienna battling across several different hell dimensions. We're going to see a lot of grotesque body horror throughout it. And, of course, a lot of unrated content that only this franchise can deliver. And they've mastered that quite well. So they're going to double down on it even more in these last 30 minutes of Terrifier 4 with some of the nastiest crap we've ever seen as they battle across these several different hell dimensions. Now, let's end this video by talking about Scream 7. Scream News tweeted earlier this week that Gale and Sidney will have an interview moment. Now, I will raise you this question. If you saw my tweet, you already know what the question is. Are we sure that this is just an interview moment? Could it perhaps build into one of the best sequences the film has to offer? Now, my answer to that is yes. This could be one of the best sequences in the film. To me, this interview is just a stepping stone to what could possibly be the best Ghostface sequence in the film, or at least a memorable moment audiences and fans alike will talk about. So this isn't just a simple interview, but the fact that one is happening does come off like a full circle moment from Sidney's tension with Gale in Scream 1, due to her role in the media, to now sitting down with her all these years later in Scream 7, giving her the moment Gale probably would have liked to have had back when she was at what many would consider her prime in Scream 2, between her and Cotton Weary. But let me know what you guys think about all this down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, turn on post notifications, and there's a video in the description. I have links to all my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there, of course, to let me know if there are any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.